Well, this bye week's interesting. No? I think that's pretty safe to say. As someone who produces content surrounding LSU athletics, the football bye weeks can be a little slow. You don't have an opponent to prepare for. I can't preview LSU's game or pick it coming up this weekend. So you kind of, in your head, before the bye week, are thinking about, okay, what am I going to talk about? What am I going to write about during that bye week? Well, when you fire a coach and then the governor starts talking about it in a press conference, you got a lot of content. And so I realized that almost all of you, I would imagine all of you, is that fair to say? Not fair to say every single person, but a lot of you by now are aware of the press conference that the governor held yesterday, which had nothing to do with LSU athletics. And it turned into that at the end. And that's all that we're going to talk about here, because I want to be very upfront and very clear to start this segment. I have no idea what's going on with our state education system. I don't have any idea about coastal erosion or hurricane preparedness. I don't know about any of the political issues, honestly, that are plaguing the state of Louisiana or that are great strengths of Louisiana. I don't know a ton right now about the insurance game. Been out of that for a long time. So, as far as what the governor does day to day with all of the issues around our state, I don't really know a lot about it. I sit here and I talk about sports. And so I never deal with the governor. I don't watch his press conferences. I'm just not all that concerned with the things that go on in our politics. We've got a phenomenal news talk station one floor below us, Brian Haldane, Moon Griffon, the whole crew down there. It's great. If you want to hear about politics, you're absolutely free to go and listen to them. You want to hear about sports, you can hang out with us, and that's generally what I'll do. But yesterday it crossed over, and it was unavoidable. And I listened to what Governor Landry had to say, and my biggest takeaway from what he had to say was disappointment. I was disappointed that the answers came so quickly. I was disappointed to even start this segment. I was disappointed that the question wasn't just deflected. We're not here to talk about LSU athletics. We're not here to talk about the football coach. We're not here to talk about the athletic director. I'm here to talk about the task at hand, youth nutrition, and we'll discuss those at a later day. That's what I would have liked to have seen. But instead, you saw a very emboldened, very impassioned, very demonstrative governor speaking about LSU's football coach and athletic director. And in my opinion, humiliating the athletic director, Scott Woodward. That's my opinion. Scott can feel the way he feels. The governor can discuss how he wanted that to be interpreted. But for me, for the governor, without the athletic director president, to come up and say that he will not be involved in hiring the next football coach was a shot at the athletic director that I don't feel like needed to be lobbed. That's my opinion on that matter. And then you get into the nuts and bolts as that continued. And I wrote a column at louisianasports.net, and I had issues with some of the statements that the governor made. I had an issue with the governor suggesting, first of all, the phrasing, when he starts with, let me tell you something. The guy that's here now that wrote the contracts cost A&M $70-something million. Right now, LSU's got a $53 million liability. The let me tell you something, it's just it's so condescending in my view. And to start that way, and then to suggest that Woodward was the one on the hook for the $70 million at Texas A&M, it's just a half-truth. Scott Woodward did hire Jimbo Fisher to a 10-year, $75 million fully guaranteed contract. And then 3 years later, after Jimbo had a great year at Texas A&M, Ross Bjork extended that deal and increased the buyout by double. And that was not presented yesterday. It was just, hey, Woodward's responsible for this massive buyout at Texas A&M. Well, it's misleading. It just is. It's misleading. And I have an issue with the governor saying, I'm tired of rewarding failure in this country and then leaving the taxpayers to foot the bill. I believe that to be misleading. I do. I've got the contract for Brian Kelly right in front of me. It says, liquidated damages for termination by LSU without cause. LSU will pay employee, Brian Kelly and company, liquidated damages in the amount of 90% of base salary and supplemental compensation, which would have been payable to the employee and company for the unexpired term, plus any prorated longevity compensation for the year in which the termination occurs. So technically, if Governor Landry, who is an attorney and knows far more about contractual obligations than I do, wants to get up there and say that the taxpayers are on the hook for the buyout, He can say that and point to this. And he can go on Pat McAfee show, which he did today, and say that the taxpayers are on the or to foot the bill for this. He can say the taxpayers are on the hook because it does say here the contract is with Louisiana State University. Louisiana State University is funded by the taxpayers. He can lean on that. What do we know as I begin to editorialize here from a sports perspective? We know that LSU athletics is self-funded. We know that the Tiger Athletic Foundation is an arm of LSU athletics that collects private money from donors, and that when there's an opportunity to pay a coach, when there's an opportunity to buy out a coach, Tiger Athletic Foundation, far more often than not, I would dare say almost always in recent times, comes up with that money. WDSU, reputable news source in New Orleans, reported that one family stepped up to put the lion's share of that bill. I'm here suggesting it would be shocking to me if the taxpayers in Louisiana State University paid Brian Kelly $54 million. If the attorney wants to point to this contract and say, LSU's on the hook, I'm telling you, they're on the hook. Like, he can do that, and he would be correct in that assertion. But as he said on the Pat McAfee show, unless someone steps up. And if you want to play that legalese game, you can. But in my opinion, as I editorialize, that was designed to tell the people of Louisiana, like, you're on the hook for this because the athletic director signed this contract, and you're going to have to pay for this. I don't believe that to be the case. I believe private money will take care of that buyout. And so I believe that that's a half-truth. I believe that that is disingenuous. And he continued to speak about the agents and said in a quote that, first of all, he said, here's what y'all reporters need to do. That's how he started the answer. It's what you need. Here's your assignment. Y'all need to start looking at who represents all these people, these agents. If I'm not mistaken, Woodward's agent, Kelly's agent, Texas A&M, they're all the same agent. It's ridiculous. Well, if you want me to talk about that, I checked with Jimbo Fisher today. His agent is Jimmy Sexton. Brian Kelly's agent is Trace Armstrong. Now, you heard, if you were on the McAfee show today, Governor Landry went on and said, look, Brian Kelly's agent and Scott Woodward's agents are the same. I have no information that says that Trace Armstrong represents Scott Woodward. That's not public, and I could not get anyone to confirm it or not. And perhaps that's true. And we will get to a point here where I do agree with the governor that these buyouts are a little ridiculous. And that's the crux of what he is suggesting, I think, at Scott Woodward's expense. But LSU's not alone here. Penn State's doing it. Florida's doing it. Florida State's about to do it. Auburn does it every 20 minutes. And I agree that these contracts are a little out of hand. But I believe the way the governor went about it was disappointing to me. It was disappointing to me to make a scene like that in a press conference not designed for it. It was disappointing to me to treat Scott Woodward like that. It's disappointing to me that he comes back 20 hours later and he's on the Pat McAfee show and he's giving what I believe to be misleading information that is factually true on the document, but we all know not to be exactly accurate. And the bigger part of this is what happens moving forward. Because you've cut the legs out from Scott Woodward, who I think it's reasonable to suggest at this point is not going to be involved in the hire. The governor said that. Probably won't be employed. That's a guess on my part, but I think it's rooted in some truth there. If you heard yesterday's press conference, you don't have a university president yet, and you're about to go on a coaching search. And the governor says that he's going to put together the board of supervisors, which he helps appoint. Not all of them are Landry appointees, but some of them are, and there will be more to come. That they're going to put together a committee to go hire the coach. Well, if that's the case, and I'm just taking him on his word, that the committee from the board of supervisors is going to go hire a coach. That's what he said. That's not the way it usually happens. An athletic director usually hires the coach. And then when the athletic director hires the coach, he works with the coach, fosters that relationship, and helps the program move forward. If the committee does it, and then the new president goes and hires an athletic director, which those dominoes could fall in that direction, well, now you've got a coach who doesn't know who he's going to be working for when he's hired. And there may not be that great relationship because the athletic director wasn't the one that hired him. So now, does the coach really want to come work there? If you'd assume that the athletic director is going to be put in, I don't know if we have a great relationship. He might, at the drop of a hat, decide to move on. Do I want to take that job? Penn State's open. Florida's open. It's just a dysfunctional ecosystem to hire a coach right this second. Now, if LSU appoints a president in the next 10 days and that president goes out and hires an athletic director in 20 days, and that athletic director who's got contacts around the sports decides that he's going to go and conduct that search and hires a coach, and all that falls into place, we'll discuss that on this show. That would be more functional. But right now, what you've got is no football coach, an athletic director who's had his legs cut out from under him, no system president, and a governor going on the media tour and kind of airing all the dirty laundry. And that's disappointing to me because I just don't find it to be that functional. You don't have to take my word for it. You can go to every national outlet that's like, whoa, did you see what the Louisiana governor did? You see that? And I don't find it to be a term of endearment. All I know right now is that the governor's got his fingerprints on this, and he's all in on making sure that this is done his way. He's talking about on the Pat McAfee show, crushing the can, not kicking it down the road, crushing the can. He may crush the can. It may go great. But right now, I'm looking at this, and I am, as a Louisiana citizen and certainly as a fan of LSU and someone who covers this athletically, disappointed in the way that this has gone down in the last 24 hours. None of this happens. None of it. If when Glenn Guilbeau stands up and asks that question yesterday at the press conference, if the governor just says, oh, I appreciate the question. Right now we're here to talk about something else. I'll have comment on that further at this time. We're excited about the future of LSU football and the university as a whole, and I'll discuss that later. That's all that really needed to be said. But instead, we're criticizing Scott Woodward's career. We're suggesting that the agents are in collusion. We're going out there suggesting that the taxpayers are on the hook and that they're going to be the one paying this buyout. And it just, to me, rubbed me the wrong way. It did. And I haven't found a lot of opposition to that. Now, I'll be the first to stand here and tell you, as I do regarding so many things that I cover and talk about, I reserve the right, and often do, change my tune if I get different information. But right now, with what I've got in front of me and the phone calls that I've made today, this just feels messy. It feels messy. And sometimes messy's good and gets stuff done, and sometimes messy really, really spirals things out of control. I am not even willing to speculate what that looks like going forward. But right now, I'm just disappointed at the way things have been handled in the state and with that university to this point. You've got a buyout to deal with Brian Kelly. You've got an athletic director whose future is very much in limbo, and we'll start to get answers pretty quickly. Most people in the political realm feel like an LSU president is going to be named very, very short order. Maybe today. And then we'll see what dominoes fall. I'm just disappointed the way that it's gone. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.